Hello, everyone,
It's cool.
and welcome to Hot Take Wednesdays. I'm here with Kramer, back from
What?
South Africa, back from the bathroom. It only took him a
Yeah.
week. And AJ is also here with us today.
Hello.
There you go. Took you long enough to say hello. And so, Hot Take Wednesdays, each one of us is going to present a bold take. We are recording this Tuesday night, so if something crazy happens in the morning, it's not our fault.
We
And
know
then we're
about the Antonio Brown news right now, though. So
Yes, we do know about the Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger type news. Basically, each one of us is going to give a take. We are either going to agree, disagree, have a good conversation about it. Should just be a nice, fun, short show. Um, some new content for you guys. I'm going to let AJ go first since he wanted to think about his hot take so much. He seems so proud of it. What is it?
I don't know. I don't know if I was that proud of it, but it's week one. Everybody's got their takes. Everybody's got their thoughts, their opinions. Everybody's got the league made up. They know what's what. But I do have one thought, and this is going to date back. This is a little bit of a callback to our busts episode, and we were discussing the Chicago Bears and their backfield and how it's a little more cluttered than people think. And we were talking about a David Montgomery. And my take, especially after watching the game against the Packers, is that Mike Davis finishes with more fantasy points than David Montgomery at the end of the season. I watched David Montgomery. I watched him play. And I tell you what, man, he had a hole about the size of the width of the field, and it took him 10 seconds to chug his feet like a cartoon, spinning its little cartoon wheels, to finally stumble over himself and cut into that hole. I was not impressed with what he did. And the fact that they can put Mike Davis out there, and he actually showed some competency in catching the ball, and he looked better to me than David Montgomery did, as far as being able to cut. That's my take, and I will say David Montgomery did make a nice little run where he kind of took some contact, had some good core strength to stay up, and took it for a couple more yards. But I think it's going to be Mike Davis when it's all said and done.
All right, Kramer, you want to roast him first, or you want me to do it?
I'll go first. So I definitely think that possibly for the start of the season, I think that could happen. I could see Mike Davis still holding on to his job and taking a decent amount of the carries away for the first half of the season. But I think David Montgomery showed in that game that he is pretty damn elusive. He had a couple runs where he was breaking tackles. He just looked like RB1. But I still think, we're talking about what we were saying in the preseason, I still think Tariq Cohen's probably the most valuable running back to own on that team. How much he was in the slot. I mean, he didn't even get a carry, really. He had the first carry of the game, but Mitch Trubisky, lasered it into his face from a foot away on an end around, and so he fumbled it. But I still think David Montgomery is going to take over the main carrying role in that backfield over Mike Davis, and Mike Davis will slowly become the backup to Tariq Cohen in the receiving role.
All right, so I agree with Kramer, you crazy son of a bitch, AJ. So here's the reasons why your take is just wrong. A, if it is not Montgomery, it's going to be Cohen. I think Cohen probably ends up the lead back no matter what. But here's the problem. First of all, I disagree. I think Montgomery looked pretty good in that game. Granted, I haven't watched the all-22 footage, but there was two runs I really, really liked from Montgomery. He looked like he could catch the ball, unlike Mike Davis. See, the problem with Mike Davis is, while he was able to secure the catch, he averaged 2.8 yards a catch. That is the worst I've ever seen for somebody with over 5 catches. Ever. All right, he rushed the ball 5 times for 19 yards. That's 3.8 yards a carry, which is horrible. And on top of that, they had him in for pass blocking, which he was horrible at as well. I think David Montgomery, they're going to slowly introduce him. By week 5, Mike Davis is going to be getting 10% of the snaps. All
right, well,
10%.
10%.
that's
Actually,
that's,
I disagree. It's
They
gonna be
showed
like
that
it's.
they showed they could use like
Yeah,
three
yeah.
running backs all at the same time.
Here's the thing, though. I do take that back a little bit. I think it'll be a little bit higher, as you guys said. Tariq Cohen's out there a lot, like with both one of the two. However, once Anthony Miller's healthy and he's out there a lot more, I think then Miller, Robinson, Taylor, Gabriel are going to be out there more, and Tariq Cohen's going to be playing less of that gadget role, and he is going to be out there by himself a little bit more. And I think the second back's going to be Montgomery, come a couple weeks from now. I think even sorry, AJ, to cut you off. I think even if Mike Davis does outplay Montgomery the entire year or outsnap him, he literally is not good enough to outscore Tariq Cohen. Like, he does not have the capability to do so. I mean, when you get 7 targets, 5 rushing attempts, 60% of the snaps, and you score 6 points, like, how are you going to be the number one running back on that team?
well, who did anything in that game besides like Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen, who had like an okay game?
I mean,
Like,
David
nobody had anything going.
Montgomery
And
had the same amount of points.
Yeah, because he had a 27-yard catch.
That's
He had
my
one.
point.
He had one target. I'm saying, if you watch that run, dude, he's not an elusive guy.
No, he's
like
not super elusive.
No, he wants to bump into people and he wants to make them miss a tackle on contact. Like, he's not a shifty guy. And that's not to take away anything. There's a lot of guys who are productive in the NFL who aren't shifty. That's just the run that I use to make my point that I think Mike Davis is gonna be better than him. But as far as efficiency goes, nobody was efficient in that game. So I just kind of take that for what it is. But I think Mike Davis is. I just think he's underrated. I said it from the beginning, and I'm going to double down on that. I think Mike Davis is going to have more of a role than people realize in this offense.
All right. Well, Kramer, do you want to go next?
I'll go next, but first I'll say, as a Seahawks fan, Mike Davis was surprisingly mediocre the entire time he was there. So my hot take is something I've been saying all off season. They're being drafted around the same area. Kind of, not really, but sort of similarly the same player, but not at all. But I think Kyler Murray is going to finish higher in the quarterback standings at the end of the season than Cam Newton. And I talked about this a couple times in our drafts, that I think Kyler Murray is a more accurate thrower by a long shot than Cam Newton. I think he has as good, if not better, of an arm, with Cam having his shoulder issues. And I think he's going to be a more efficient and faster, better overall runner, because I think I mean, what is he? He's 30, 31? I
can
think.
check right now, one second.
Yeah, he's 30, 31, I believe. And if you think about it, he's used his body like a running back uses his body. And when do they tend to fall off? At age 30. Well, he's right there, I'm pretty sure. And he's already had some shoulder issues. I'm still not fully confident in his shoulder. I mean, it's going to be great for Christian McCaffrey, I think. And we saw that week 1 with him scoring a shit ton of points. But just look at week 1. I mean, the Rams defense is, I honestly, as a Rams fan, I don't think it's that good. It's not going to, stop anyone from doing anything incredibly well. Yeah, you have Aaron Donald, but our defensive backs are questionable, especially now with Weddle. I guess he'll probably play again this week, but after getting his head completely chopped open. But I just don't see Cam doing anything. He still has to face, the Saints twice a year, which their defense is relatively good. And I just don't think his weapons are that great either. And I think Kyler Murray, even though he had an awful start to his game, I think he showed in the second half of a little bit of what he could do and started relying a little bit heavier on Larry Fitzgerald, and that really brought him through to where he's going to be all season long, except for next week because he plays the Ravens.
I was about to say, I think this week will be very telling with Cam Newton going against Tampa Bay and Kyler have to go in against the Ravens.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of up and down, obviously, based on matchups and everything. But I think by the end of the season, I'm pretty confident Kyler Murray will be higher.
All right.
I think it was funny that, who was it, Schlereth that was calling the game? He said that the first 3 quarters of that game, calling it garbage would have been an insult to garbage. and he was right. It was those first 3 quarters from the Lions and the Cardinals was just beyond trash.
Yeah, it was a total.
But as far as your take goes, I think it's, yeah, it was. But I think Cam is gonna finish higher than Kyler. But it was nice to see Kyler kind of turn it on at the end. I think for me, and this is just me diving in way too deep into Kyler Murray, but I just think he as a player just needs to gain his confidence, and who knows how long that's going to take. But and I'm basing that off of something that's kind of silly, but he did an interview with Dan Patrick whenever he was before he declared as an NFL player, and he just wasn't confident at all, was really unprepared for that interview. Like, I don't know what he thought he was going to get asked, but it was just like very strange. And if you can't just have like a conversation with Dan Patrick, like, I can't talk about that. Like, I don't know. Dan Patrick's a pretty cool guy to me. So I just wonder what he's like in the locker room. I don't know. But, I do think that maybe the confidence, in being, and, knowing that he has the physical capabilities to lead an NFL offense, I think that's going to take some time. But, to me, I think I would take the safe bet, but I like the take though. I like it for the segment.
Honestly, I've kind of noticed that about his personality. I mean, when you go look at Hard Knocks, how he was complaining that the Raiders blitzed him, in the preseason, and then during the game, I mean, as you guys saw, he played like literal trash for 3 quarters, and every time they look at him coming off the field, he was just. It looked like it wasn't even like he was mad. It looked like he was gonna cry. Like, I was ready to start putting money on the Vegas bets that he returns to baseball. But, I don't hate your take as much as I did at the beginning of the season, because I mean, the first
saw the flashes.
Well, I saw
flashes of what he could do.
I saw how bad Arizona is, and I realized, like, it's
They're
going to
gonna
be
have
Blake
such good
Bortles.
game scripts all the time.
It's going to be a Blake Bortles type year where it's like, oh man, Kyler Murray really helped me. And they're like, what, Kyler Murray helped you? They were 2-14. How'd he help you? Or 2-13-1 now. But
yeah.
and it's like, because in the fourth quarter they're down by 28 points, and then the defense backs off, and Detroit, because Matt Patricia isn't as good of a coach as people think he is. Well, I think people are starting to realize it. Yeah, no, I think very lowly of him. He backed off way too much, cost his own team the game. Anyway, I don't know. It's one of those hard ones. I want to argue it because I think Cam Newton's not only better, but I think he's the better play in fantasy if you're going to roster one. But realistically, unless you're playing Superflex, you're going to be streaming quarterbacks. And like you said, just play the matchup. So I'm kind of a neutral on this take.
Yeah, Kyler has to play the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers twice, but none of those, I think that honestly probably the best secondary out of all of those would be the 49ers.
Somehow.
The Seahawks defense did not look good against a pretty bad Bengals offense. And the Rams, I said just a second ago, I don't think their secondary is really that great. They obviously have an incredible defensive line, but they've always kind of suffered. Well, they had okay. They still have Talib and Peters, but they're both kind of a shell of what they were used to be. So, and against those teams, I think they're going to have a lot of plus matchups where it's like, okay, well, we're way down in the game. Time to turn the heat up. And they still have David Johnson. They still have Larry Fitzgerald, who showed in that game that, god damn, he still has amazing fucking hands. Like, he's going to be, I don't know how he's still out there making those catches, but it's impressive.
I just watched the Gridiron Heights episode by Bleacher Report, and from last week, and it's like Andrew Luck retires and Larry Fitzgerald goes, "You can do that? You can walk away?"
What?
All right. So for the final hot take, I've decided to go with my guy, a guy that at the very beginning of this offseason, when I thought for sure there's no way that Tyreek Hill is not suspended for an entire year because he broke his own kid's arm. I was drafting Sammy Watkins in the 4th, 5th round. I had no problem with it. And now with Tyreek out for 8 weeks, I'm ready to declare I think Sammy Watkins is going to be a wide receiver 1 on the season. He's going to be, I'm not even saying top 12. I think he's going to be top 10.
Yeah, he's already well on his way there with the week 1 game.
I was gonna say, so defend my take. He's already got 45 points, so he's a little
has
bit.
to average like fucking 12 points the rest of the season to be a wide receiver 1.
But here's the thing: Sammy Watkins is not a bad wide receiver. In fact, he's actually a very, very good wide receiver. He's just never been healthy. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna stay healthy.
Okay, sure, you can think that, but he's now transformed fully into a lizard, so he'll be fine.
The sun comes out more in Kansas City than it does in Buffalo, and where was he before that?
That's it, Buffalo and Kansas City. Oh, L.A. He was L.A. in between.
L.A. Oh, well, the sun comes out a lot there, but he was pretty good there, so he's charging up, getting those solar energy built up inside him.
He has, I think, top 10 points per game since he's been in the NFL. He gets injured. I'm banking on him being healthy. I think based off of the injuries he's had prior, I think this season he's set up to do pretty well. I mean, he was healthy all season in LA. He just never really acclimated there. I don't know why Brandon Cooks ended up working out better. I honestly think Watkins is the better wide receiver. But regardless, he has Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball. He no longer has to worry about Tyreek Hill for 8 weeks. I legitimately think in these next 8 weeks, he'll build such a large lead as a wide receiver 1 that he can play mediocre for the rest of the season. He can probably even get injured for a couple games and him still finish a wide receiver 1. That's how high I am on him. He's a must play. And if you have him, I'm sure you're playing with him. If you don't have him for some reason.
Smoke if you got him.
Yeah. He needs to be in your lineup no matter what happens. That's all. That's my bold take. I think he's top 10.
Even when Hill comes back, you got to play him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that whole offense is just too dangerous. But one thing I just thought of, if he's a lizard person and he's had all these foot problems, why doesn't he just chop his foot off and regenerate a new foot?
You can't let people know about that. You got to be, Kramer, you're not thinking the big picture. Then the government comes after you.
It's actually funny because I'm pretty sure the chick that, is the leader of this whole lizard people thing is from right next to where I grew up in Washington. So
Kramer's a lizard. Interesting development.
Interesting development. But what do you guys think? Any arguments here?
I think it basically all just depends on injury, which I think it's kind of just a coin toss at that point. So I think if he stays healthy, that I think it's almost no doubt that he'll probably finish atop. It might be right around there. I might put him more around 15-ish, but I could definitely see him being inside the top 10.
If he's healthy all season, I will grant him. If he's healthy all season, I would lock him in as a wide receiver 1.
Ooh, all right.
Full season.
I guess my take wasn't that hot.
Yeah.
Well, if he's healthy, that's the thing. I'm not
warm.
guaranteeing his health. I would give him a 25% chance of playing 15 games this season.
I'm gonna search him up really quick. How many games he's played recently? So Sammy Watkins, 2018, he missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 6.5 because he basically was out for the LA game. 2017, like I said, in LA, he played the entire season. 2016, he missed 8 games. 2015, he missed 5 games. No, he missed 4 games. So, I mean, 4,
it's all been
0,
foot or ankle problems, right?
0, yeah. So 4, 8, 0, 6. It's not been great. I'll admit that. It's not been a great track record.
Feeling a little bit less confident now.
But no, that's what I'm saying. I am so after seeing that performance and how good I think he looked in that offense. I mean, I thought he looked good last year, but I think they're really starting to. I mean, there's a reason they paid him for $19 million a year.
Yeah,
they're really game playing to get him open, and I think without Hill there, I've actually heard a couple people say, "Oh, they actually think his production's going to go down." I don't think that's true. He's good enough to handle the first.
Well, I mean, it's going to go down because you can't score 40 fucking points every week.
No, that's very true, obviously. But I think even if he gets hurt for 2 to 3 games, he'll still be a wide receiver 1.
Yeah. Something I noticed about that game is that it seemed like whenever he scored those touchdowns, it was just like somehow like one slightly broken tackle, and then there was just no one there. I don't know what was going on with the Jaguars defense, but I thought they were supposed to be good.
He's a little
they
bit.
did not look very good.
It did
He's
not
a
look
big boy.
good. He's a 6'1", 211, and he's not slow. He's
Yeah.
one of those.
I mean, he had the fastest, or no? Did he have the fastest? Oh no, Saquon Barkley had the fastest
Yeah.
play of the day, but he was like in the top 3 or 4.
He was in the top 3, and it's like he's kind of like Derrick Henry in that, where I think because of his like build and the way he sprints, where he takes long strides, it's like is he running fast? And then you
Yeah,
realize like
true.
oh nobody's catching him.
Yeah.
He is already pretty damn fast. So that's
when your legs are that long.
yeah.
Derrick Henry's case.
So those are our bold takes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I think AJ had to go take his dogs out because they were trying to bite him. So I'll sign off for him, say goodbye for myself and Kramer.
Later.
See you guys.